Glad to be here in Charlotte. I guess this is my second time coming here. I came here in '95 and rocked them a little bit. We had a good time. I haven't been back since. Like I say, it's, at this particular time, I guess this is very special because the whole Charlotte thing with the black woman thing, if you know the history of Charlotte and Queen Charlotte and that whole 9 yards. Since she was a sister, whatever, she might have came out of a white line, a white family, whatever, but she still got the black thing going. And as a result, it's like Dr. Ben said, that this makes the whole genealogy on down to Queen Elizabeth now and the whole 9 yards a nigger clan. So that's good too. Charlotte, also you deal with the word scarlet. In etymology, it's all the same. Anytime you hear the word scarlet woman or the harlot, it's always positive. Anytime you hear anything that the Bible denotes as bad, always turn to that because we're talking about something on a high level, whereas in the moralistic term, it might mean bad, but then again, what the priest understands, that it would be a source of power. So anytime you hear the word dragon, scarlet woman, harlot, leviathan, Babylon, all this is references to the great mother, or the power of the great mother, later on turned around and degraded as evil, as the epitome of evil when the patriarchal system supplanted, usurped power, and replaced the matriarchal system. And all aspects of the matriarchal system of the great mother had to be turned into evil. So anytime you hear the word Babylon, that's an ancient terminology for the great mother. Comes out of Typhonian Kemet, Typhonian Egypt, which is pre-dynastic Egypt, and you have your Babylonians, which were dynastic, which were at the actual place of the Giza Plateau, or what you call the real word is the Restar Plateau, or the Rasta Plateau, which means resting place of the lions, and that's basically where the 3 pyramids sit in the middle of the earth and your Sphinx. The Typhonians were the ones that built the 3 pyramids, and one of the ancient names for the 3 pyramids at that particular time was called the Babylonian Plateau. As your Typhonian Egyptians were kicked out, or basically were replaced by the Ammonites, which would be your dynastic Egyptians, your Typhonian Egyptians, or Typhonian Camites traveled into what is called Mesopotamia and started what you call the ancient state of Babylonia, Mesopotamia, Typhonia, Tyrrhenia, Etruria, Etruscan, Atroas. This is the original Greek. And we'll pass this around and let you know his brother looks like Isaac Hayes. And you know it's a brother when the damn lips so fat till they fold in half. Now you know, so this is the original Greek, which is the Etruscans. You won't find no more than 2 or 3 books in a store on the Etruscans at one time. That is for a reason, because they understand that's the origin of the Greek. But basically, these are all pre-dynastic Egyptians. Pre-dynastic Camites. So you get the word Babylonian, you get the word scarlet woman, or the word harlot. And the scarlet woman, basic esoterically, is talking about the root chakra, which is at the base of your spine, called the beast of Babylon, which rises up. So the scarlet woman, whose color is red, is talking about the red root chakra, and it's also talking about the sacred menstrual blood. You'll have a lot of oppositions to that at this particular time, even some Afrocentric scholars and all, not dealing with the validity of the menstrual blood and all. But then again, on the other hand, we come to scholarship, and until there's some other scholarship produced, I actually give the explanation why there was the menstrual blood and the menstrual cycle. Because one sister asked the question, well, why the hell do I have to bleed? Well, there's a whole explanation. There's some ancient science that was lost on that, and we'll get into that particular part in a few minutes. But the scarlet or the harlot or the dragon's blood or the menstrual blood or the harlot woman or the scarlet's blood, all of this stuff is representing the nature of the black woman, or the essence of what you call the matriarchal period, which predates the patriarchal period. So your matriarchal societies would be pre-dynastic Kemet, which was called your Typhonian or Draconian or Ophidian line. All of this is to be found in the works of Jeremiah, which there was abundance of this material around the turn of the century in the British Museum, But after he wrote Ancient Egypt, Light of the World, Book of the Beginnings, and Natural Genesis, somehow these particular books, these particular texts ended up being locked down by the British Museum, and these particular Typhonian texts being locked down by the University of Chicago and different things like that. So anyway, piggybacking off what I'm saying, the whole Charlotte thing, etymology, you're still talking about scarlet. So all this is talking about a realm of the Great Mother. So it's more than fitting at this particular time to even be here. For the simple fact that we're in the height of the summer solstice, the dog days, which starts on July 23rd to August 23rd. And that can be played with because we really don't know what damn time it is. But the point here is that that particular realm is the height of the realm of the Great Mother. The Sphinx Leo that starts on July 23rd, you know, that Sphinx is a feminine principle. That's why it's a discrepancy whether it's male or female or both. And more than likely it is both male and female, which is called Har Market, or Horus on the horizon, or Har Ma Ku. Because what they don't let you know, if you take it back to the Camite line, or the Egyptian line, or even the Greek line, because the Greek sheet is black, there was not a masculine Messiah. It was both a masculine and feminine Messiah. That's one of the keys. So for the mere fact you got an all masculine Messiah, that means it is fake. Because you can't have one without the other. The feminine Messiah in ancient Kemet would be Ma'at, which would be the actual part. Now, the feminine half of the messianic aspect. Now, what we mean by that is this. You have Horus or Heru, which would be your original Egyptian Christ. The Sphinx is called Har Ma Ku. So there you have Heru Ma Ku. So right there you have Heru, which would be the masculine form of the Christ, and you have Ma, which would be the feminine. You get the double Ma, you get the word mama. But the Ma'at, even that word Ma'at is both masculine and feminine. The Ma means mother, and the At means son. So you get the word Ha Ma Ku, which is the name of the Sphinx, which is both male and female. And basically the name of the Christ, or the Christos, which in actuality is an alchemical term, which means that the Christ never, ever, ever could have been on the planet. So we're talking about a system, and we'll get into that particular part. We're talking about a system that is around the world that is fake in its origin. That is fake in its origin. And what we're talking about here is that we can prove this based on going into the actual scientific evidence of what the Christ is. Even the actual preacher tell you, well, Jesus is Greek for Christos. Wait a minute, hold on a minute. We got a problem here. I thought the damn Greeks were pagan. Now wait a minute. If the Greeks were pagan, what the hell do they do? What the hell are they doing having a Christ? You see, if you can only give me the Greek origin of the word, you see, and what is this pre-Christianity? You see, if there's a pre-Christianity, then I thought that we didn't know what Christianity was until Christ came. You see, but the Christ is different than the whole Jesus thing, but the Christ absolutely, positively couldn't have come to the planet. That's impossible. That's why most ancient people, and all ancient people, your Hebrews, your Greeks, your Egyptians, your Sumerians, even your Islamic say, no way. No way. Now, this is what we got to do. And this is, and I don't mean to be rude. Let me tell you what's happening. I travel all around the country, and this is what happens. It goes out on the tape, and boy, people complain about the babies. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not tripping or nothing, because normally we say that's cool and all, but these people out here, when they get the tape, it is a learning process. So, you know, that's the way it is, because we talk about knowledge here. So, you know, the whole deal on that. So, you know. But anyway, the whole aspect of this is that it absolutely positively couldn't have come to the planet. And no ancient people agreed to this until the Romans took over and made Christianity a ward of their government and forced that upon the people. You see, they forced that upon the people. As a matter of fact, the entire aspect of T.D. Jakes traveling around and basically dealing with the aspect of the black woman right now is to shut down the feminine energy. It's to shut down the feminine energy. There is no way that you can rise to any spiritual height under the banner of Christianity. There's no way. And we can prove this because we're talking about an esoteric system. And although that is worship, basically the energy is always initiated on the lower level. We'll get into this particular part. As a matter of fact, I mean, we can open up the floor for a question and answer right now just to break up the monopoly if a person has a question about that. Does anybody have a question about that? And don't feel free. It's not a challenge or anything somebody jumping on you. I just think that certain things need to be discussed. Does anybody have a question on this particular stuff? And I mean something that's in your head and you say, I'm not clear about this. I need to find out about this. Because this is major stuff right now. And what I'm saying about that is you got the TD Jakes, you got Creflo Dollar out of Atlanta. You got this Bishop Ellie Long out of Atlanta. You got Reverend Fred Price. You got this other black preacher now out in Los Angeles on Crenshaw Boulevard. Now, hell, they done had more niggas killed on Crenshaw Boulevard in the last 10 years than in the last 100 with the Ku Klux Klan. But yet, they got a black man that Denzel Washington and Magic Johnson and Brandy and all these doggone Negroes go to this church. And he's building a $70 million church. It looks like a Colosseum in Rome. They got another preacher getting ready to buy the Forum. In Los Angeles, ladies used to play. It's getting ready to buy the Forum. You got Fred Price feels so jealous about it, he goes out and buy him a goddamn 747 on DC-10. So what you have here, you must understand what's going on here. First we got a full libation, and we will, but I'm going to get into this first. And we'll give the God this. Is that what you have here, you have, this is a universal system now. This means in actuality, there's no such thing, okay, let me just say this one thing, there's no such thing as local nothing now. Everything is by satellite. That means that somebody in China is watching your ass. Somebody in Tibet is watching you. Somebody in Nigeria is watching you. Somebody in Iceland is watching you. Now look at the magnitude of this. You're on Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles, California. And since desegregation, because segregation was a glorious time for us. We had everything. But since desegregation, you haven't done anything economically on a grand scale for an economic system of employment. And you mean to tell me that you got the gall and you have that type of power to get your hands on $70 million and you put it all in a damn building? And you thinking, well, oh, Jesus is wonderful. No, people around the planet are saying, look at these people. These people are at their most savage level. And that's what we are. We are pure savages. We need not be funny with this mess. We have a brain atrophy, which means we don't think at all. We'll get into that. But the point I'm trying to make is this. You need to tell me that you have a person in Iceland. I'm getting ready to ask you. And this person in Iceland saying, well, I done read the history on these people. And these people have had a socio-economic problem at least since 1965. Because remember, prior to 1965, we had it all. You see, if you understand history. And you mean to tell me you people, you go through a damn Holocaust and all the crack and all the murders and all the stuff, and you mean to tell me that you're going to put your hands on $70 million and you're going to put it in a building? You didn't put it in the economic infrastructure of the church. You put it in a damn building. You see the mentality? You got to understand the science behind it. What's that, sister?
I was just wondering what is the purpose of all these ministers trying to shut down?
The whole key to this thing is this. In 1990, they looked up, and there was a resurgence of black consciousness through the rap music, through all the black Afrocentric movements, through the scholar movement and everything. And they dictated it because there was a book by Mark Balfour's book, Sign in the Serpent, where they had a conference. You know what I'm saying based on this whole God thing. They concluded that we was God based on melanin. In 1986, they convened in another conference and said that the Kundalini energy, which is the serpentine fire, which is the base and the roots of our spiritual evolution, was rising on the planet at that particular time. And by 1990, one thing would happen. Consciousness would come back in. That's the first thing. As well as the original strain, the energy would be so high that it would kill off the hybrid strain, which is the mutated strain. So as a result, they looked up and on like clockwork, we were back into consciousness. So they went to work because they understood that this consciousness was so advanced until they had gotten above just the old black cornbread eating preacher. You see. So therefore they had to put money into a new scientific element of a preacher, you know, the new 8-button suits and shit. Even filtered it in and out these like the black plays and all the music. And basically they had to take a preacher and bring him up to the level of an entertainer. So they took the basic entertainer or the R&B entertainer or the R&B comedian or whatever of that particular time that's most admired, and they brought the preacher up to that particular level. Because prior to that, the preachers represented a person past 60. Even the whole concept of somebody being able to preach had to be the quintessential Southern Baptist type of preacher. So they had to take a preacher and make him into a particular star. And so this is a form of government mind control. So T.D. Jakes, Bishop Eddie Long, there's tons of them. They're rising out of the white, just coming out of the woodwork. Like I said, the Creflo Dollar and all those are government inventions. They didn't just rise up. Hell, what would make somebody pay attention to a preacher? We got one on every damn corner. And these particular preachers become just as great as Michael Jackson. Now, prior to 1996, the only person that can pack 100,000 people in any building other than the Michael Jackson or an entertainer was Minister Louis Farrakhan. After 1996, you get T.D. Jakes and all these fools. What we talk about here is a form of mind control. You see, Christian fascism and a form of mind control. You see what I'm saying? What idiot would go and pay money for anybody to tell them some shit about a book they got on the goddamn shelf? This is asinine, and you are world-class people, and they are laughing all over the world about us, about this bullshit. You see what I'm saying? So the key here is we're talking about a form of mind control. And we're talking about, literally, this is the war that was put on against the black conscious movement, where we tapped into our ancient origin and found out the origin behind the whole Jesus thing. You see what I'm saying? So this is what happened at this particular time. And so we're literally talking about a government installation or a government scientific warfare. You see what I'm saying? And literally at this particular time, they have gripped the masses of the people to the point where as the entire conscious level is now 0 point something as far as black people that have any sense. And the rest of the people, I don't give a damn if you are PhD, hee-haw, bourgeois. The majority of the people have gone back into doggone sleep because of this foolishness. You see what I'm saying? So this is the science that's actually going on at this particular time. Any other questions? Which one? It's called Mark Balfour. It's called The Sign and the Serpent is the name of this particular book. They're dealing with what is called creative physics. Anytime you hear the creative physics, that means melanin. Anytime you hear that word creative, creative imagination, creative physics. These are a code words for melanin. The word shadow in Jung psychology, which is melanin. We did about 1,000 words on melanin alone, just different aspects of it and stuff, you see. We'll go into a lot of that particular information also. Mark Balfour, B-A-L-F-O-U-R. And this particular book, The Sign and the Serpent and all. Where it says, in 1986, however, the scientific evidence for a substantial reality of the universal life force energy field, accordance with the ancient edicts, startled the rationalist view of life and intelligence are mere the physical causes. They go on to say that basically they had these rationalists in this particular conference, and this stuff was so overwhelming as far as the information that poured in about this literal spiritual life wave being waking up on the planet, and in so many words they talk about you. You see what I'm saying? It's just like one sister had a genetic, they had a genetic conference in 98, I think fall of 98, and they had one black geneticist come and say, well, you know, based on all this genetics and stuff, the black chart is almost like there's so much research that has to be done because they can't even map all the aspects of the whole black genetic code. You see what I'm saying? The whole black genetic code. So they call that junk DNA. You hear that on X-Files and shit. That's the melanin aspect that they can't map of the black genetic code. They call it junk DNA. You see what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, the reason why they can't map it is because melanin is always changing. Melanin is called chaos. And chaos is an unorganized state of matter where change is supreme. So therefore, when they map it, they come back 5 years down the road and the whole genetic structure of black people has changed because of the melanin. You see? So basically, we're talking about something that's in a flux of always changing and going back to mutating into a higher form of intelligence. You see what I'm saying? Because it can't go back. See, this is one of the aspects of this whole conscious thing. First of all, one thing, you can take my word for it. Or you take my word, I'll come back another 5 years, but hopefully, I don't look to be around, but each month. I live one day at a time. But one of the keys you must understand, based on the ancient science, and we'll get into that, is we're not getting ready to go back to living harmonious on the physical realm of this planet. You can forget about that shit. That's not happening. You're not going back to ancient Kemet, and you're not going to regain an ancient civilization, or you're not going to usurp power on a civilization, a physical civilization in this reality. That's not going to happen. That means that there is the other paradigm shift into a whole nother dimension. And that is what ancient science and our ancient fragments was talking about. Now, if anybody got a problem with that, we need to deal with that now, based on, let's go into the science of that. Because in order to get to the common denominator of saying, well, where the hell are we going? You know what I'm saying? That old joke that asked God the ultimate question, when are black people going to get this shit together? And God didn't know? I don't know. You see? When we ask that question, so we need, at this particular time in 2000, we need to bypass all the feel-good shit. We're not going to build a black economic structure. We're not going to build a nation-building civilization and all that kind of stuff. And I know we've been saying this shit, but this is not reality. And you know in your heart that's not the way it is. And that's beautiful if you understand what's going on. But that's a damn nightmare if you think these people are going to build a fucking future for you. Look at the average black person 14. And you think a black person 14 going to build a future for you and you had common sense greater than him 20 years ago? You gonna trust that shit that these motherfuckers walking out here? Are you out of your mind? But they are the right stuff for a new paradigm shift. Something that doesn't resemble the ancient culture. That's the difference. If you're looking for something totally different, then baby, we the people. You know what I'm saying? Because we are definitely new Negroes. But if you're looking for something to say, we're more religious, you know, brother, he's talking about Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And I said, you know, the house I'm in is haunted. The motherfucker looked at me like I was crazy. Oh, you don't believe in ghosts, but you believe in the Holy Ghost. That's an oxymoron right there. That's asinine in itself. You don't believe in ghosts, but you believe in the damn Holy Ghost. But yet you say this whole shit about, they say this thing about, you know, faith and the unseen, and you gotta have faith in the unseen. But yeah, I just told you about an unseen ghost in my damn house. You don't believe this shit. Now I know he's there, because one brother called and said, you know, I tried to call you yesterday, but I couldn't get through because your phone just rang. I said, yeah, because I just bought an answering machine Thursday. I said, why? I said, because last November, the damn ghost in my house cut my goddamn answering machine. Cut the cord and run up the damn answering machine. Shorted the shit out. Now I'm up in the house, me and my mate, when I had my meat. That's a whole other story. Come up in there. The phone, she said, damn, the answering machine ain't working. The phone cut off. What's the matter? I said, you know, I was up in here all last night. I hear the phone ring, you know. And we looked back there and the wire cut. And I said, well, damn, did you drop something back there? She said, no. And we tried to have all these explanations. I said, well, Who gonna break in the house, cut her damn phone wire, leave out in the black neighborhood, don't take shit. If it's the government ain't gonna break in the house to cut you off. They breaking in the house to connect you up. You saw enemy of the state. And who was they saying was the enemy of the state? The black man or the black woman. So I said, well, shit, you know what that's gotta be. And sure enough, we said, well, who is it? And she said, well, my girl is advanced psychic. That's one reason why she left. She said, well, Spirit say it's time to go. So she's an advanced psychic. She said, well, all I'm getting is her name is Josephine. Josephine. So I said, well, what? So I was getting her. So she started going swimming. So she ran and jumped in the pool when she went swimming in the morning. And Josephine came. Said, I'm Josephine. I'm stuck in the house. I saw y'all do a ritual 2 weeks ago, and all these people came. That's what we're going to do before the little libation. All the ancestors come. And I want to go where they're going, because I'm stuck in the house, and the day my birthday. So get me out today. She said, oh, we got to get her out today. So we did a beautiful ceremony, and we got Josephine out. We just figured she cut the phone just to get our attention. About a week later, here comes this other person, this man up in there. And I said, well, ask him does he want us to get him out too. She's like, no, he wants y'all ass to go. Oh, you the one that cut the damn phone. Oh, okay. I said, all right. I said, okay, wait till you come here tonight. I'm getting your motherfucking ass out of here. You fucking with wrong, nigga, now. I kick spirits in the ass. So we got in there and we drove his butt out. And it was interesting because when we moved in the house, first of all, this house just looked like a cottage. And it don't look like it's supposed to be on the same street with the two houses in between. It's like a 1930s cottage. I mean, it's real beautiful. And hardwood floors and all this type of stuff. And the architecture would probably be about $250,000. I mean, just a mortgage now on a house from 1930s and stuff. It's real mysterious. Even the way we got it. I said, damn, our landlord owned a funeral home. That motherfucker know that house is haunted. You ain't fooling me now. Your ass kills some damn spirits now. You cutting over bodies and stuff, put some vomit fluid on. You know that house is haunted. So, okay, cool. When we walked out the yard, you know you want the house? Okay, I said, well, we got that shit a little too easy. But, anyway, when we moved in, we had this smell. And we couldn't get the smell out. It was in the kitchen. So, for a whole year, we had to buy a refrigerator. I was like, man, we ate out for a whole year, man. I gained about damn near another extra 100 pounds. And all. And so anyway, we ate out for a year. And what happened was, I was washed with bleach, ammonia, everything to try to get that smell out. And the only way we got it out was we left the back door open because it had the burglar bars for a whole summer. And it dried it out. But by the winter, it started coming back. I said, that smell coming back. Man, we got to get rid of this bad-ass house. And one day I said, this shit is like a ghost almost. But anyway, when we got this person out, the smell left. Anyway, the West East area used to be owned by white people. And the house was built, and I believe the person that was in it was an old white man. And they were both, Josephine, who was the black woman, they were stuck in different time zones. He was probably when the house was built in the 30s or whenever. Or the 20s. And she was probably either in the 50s or the 60s when the shit went all black and they had to sell. You see what I'm saying? So they were stuck in different time zones. So we was able to get them out of the actual house. But the point I'm trying to make here is, we have become the least likely people to believe in that type of stuff. You understand what I'm saying? When just before desegregation, the average black grandmama would talk about this shit. And now we become educated. And we become more religious. And we become what is basically what they call prosperity religious. A religious prosperity theology. With this bullshit with T.D. Jakes and all these assholes. And as a result, we don't even tap into anything spiritual. And the white people is following our shit. And it has limited amount of power and can only get but so far. But yet, the average one, I don't give a damn if he's ignorant. If you take him and break him down, he can be ignorant, never heard this shit before in his life, and believe in Jesus. But if you take that person and set him down and break this stuff down, Mathematically, he'll bear witness every time. Number one, because they have open minds for the simple fact that they see greatness all around them all the time. But a Negro, you can go to 1,000 damn lectures and still end up back in the fucking church. You see what I'm saying? So this type of mentality and all. And I told you, we met two white girls. We met two white girls, a white girl and a white boy in 9th grade back in 1990, and they were dropping all this shit. And I was looking at this with my other ex-girlfriend, and I was looking at her, and she was like, look at this shit here. And yet we got black people and all, fucking 40, 50, running and stuff. Somebody turn on my tape, the woman running in the other room and shit, think the devil comes. You see what I'm saying? But this is what's happening with a childlike behavior. This is the mentality of a childlike behavior. Now going back to the particular part about my girlfriend is, she was advanced psychic. So when the shit came down, it was time for her to leave, she said, I'm out of here. I mean, it was like overnight. One day we chilling. Nothing wrong now, so this is the fucked up thing about it is, it's not like, we going through some problems. People look like these people are the envy of the whole damn community because they don't even argue. Like this, don't even argue. You've been 7 years and we had, 2, 3 arguments. And then one day she's like, time for me to go. Wait the fuck up now. It's not even an argument. You know what I'm saying? It's time to go. But then again, like I said, she was 11 years younger than me, and I got her when she was 20, and a virgin. Whatever the hell that means. But anyway, she said, well, I did my 7 years in the 7-year cycle, and, I got to get out here and see what it's like to be on my own. So I'm like, well, how can you argue with that? If I don't let her go, if I complain about it and all that, she's going to resent the shit. And all this type thing here, and also, I was like, well, I guess you gotta go, it's cool. I said, cause shit, I partied from fucking 14 to 30. So I was burnt out when I met you. So, so she just, like I said, she turned 27, I turned 38. She's like, I gotta go. Simple as that and shit, and I had the sisters up in Mother, she cut the titty off. As they say, cut your ass off from the titty, so, if you know what I mean. So anyway, what we do here is I got a few things. Number one, those sisters who don't have no man, I guess you ought to be the one to first get this thing here. This is these are some rituals from the University of Chicago. Now, these rituals are stuff. They got rituals that can do anything. They got a ritual in Africa. If the heart stopped working, they got a ritual to start the heart back up. Bring a nigga back from death. They had this kind of stuff. You see. So this one even delivers one from death. You see what I'm saying? They had one ritual, all-purpose rituals. They had one for dream revelation, one for direct vision. They had rituals for different types of visions, dreams. Love rituals, horoscope rituals. This particular paper coming from the University of South Carolina, where they have all of this Camite or this Egyptian stuff locked down. This paper has just like tons of stuff. There's about 4 or 5 love spells up here and attraction spells too. So if you a sister who ain't got nobody, if you a sister who know a motherfucker ain't got nobody, which is down there every other black woman or every 5 out of 7 black women. We say this way, there's almost close to 15 to 20 million black women in the United States who can't get no man. And that's by government design. Don't let nobody fool you. And we can break that shit down, what we mean by that. Jail, homosexuality, death, deranged ass niggas. You see what I'm saying? So now, it got so bad up in New York, they go, See, this is the funny thing, like, back in 96 is no romance, no finance, no romance. Oh, no, that shit done changed now. Got them on the run now. Up in New York, you be like, you got a job? No. Okay, we can deal with that. Work out. You got a car? No. Okay, we can deal with that. Now it is, are you crazy? That's all I want to know. Are you crazy? So the criteria now is not based on no romance, no finances, no romance thing that when government comes. Now it is, are you insane? Because if you ain't insane, hey, we back to work the damn thing. You see what I'm saying? That's I'm telling you. Look, I'm telling you, I travel around the country. And I'm telling you this shit. That's why it is time to raise up out of here. That's what we talk about here. Let nobody fool you. It's called eschatology, the ending of the world, to go to the next plateau. As soon as we put a libation, we'll come back that way. What we're going to do is we got so much information to cover until, like I said, I'm going to be here for a while, so, you know what I'm saying? Until they put me out of shit, you know. I did 10 hours in L.A. No problem. 10 hours was like 3. Especially after you pour your libation. 10 hours is like 2. 8 hours is like an hour. And that's the most magical part about it. Because actually you go into a whole other dimension. And what you do is, we'll explain this also too. Because what you're actually doing is, these are no different than electromagnetic force fields and stuff, or energies that we call the ancestors, which is pure raw energy. And what they do is they come to fill up the room, and in so many words, basically, time stops. So you might think it's 2 hours, it'd be 8 hours. Now how the hell I do, basically, I roughly do 8 hours each time I speak, a minimum of 6. Now that's almost impossible for you to have an 8-hour shift at the top of your voice. You see what I'm saying? I did 10 hours in L.A. That's impossible. But that lets you know that it's spiritual. You see what I'm saying? It's spiritual. We're talking about doing this shit here. We're talking about getting up in the morning, pouring these doggone libations. And if you pour these libations and use it, what I did is supposed to spit the wrong, but I messed them out. Just look at the stove off the street anyway.
Is that it on the paper on the left hand flat? That's about it.
What?
That's something else under the paper.
What you mean?
It's a ball.
No, that's not it. No, that's not it. I'll explain what that is in a few minutes. Usually, we get the rum. You spit the rum in 4 corners, and you spit the rum 4 directions also too, and that fill up the room also. But you can pour these particular libations and stuff, and the energy will literally change the atmosphere. Now, how is that? What is gunpowder? Gunpowder is nothing but a doggone charge or reaction based on certain energies crossing up each other, crossing up. Certain energies crossing up, basically, coming together, fusing together, and have a reaction. Well, basically, you can change the atmosphere, whereas the gunpowder won't even shoot because the atmosphere is changed, and the properties that is needed in the atmosphere around it is solidified, is neutralized. So therefore, the gunpowder won't even work.